What's up, everybody? This is Big Don.
This is Josh.
And we are the Stable Podcast. That's right. If you like pro wrestling, amateur wrestling, indie wrestling, heck, even thumb wrestling, we are all about it too.
So stay tuned for the 3 count.
And we are too sweet.
Woo!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Stable Podcast. As you can see, we got a slightly different feel for this episode. Episode 28, if you're keeping track, because, well, we are.
Yeah.
Numbers.
We can count.
That's right.
Yay.
That's right.
2+ years and we made it to 28.
That's right. Yes, finally.
Yeah.
Finally.
I'm just saying, it took WWE 40 years to get to WrestleMania 40. Just saying.
Right. We're well on track.
On track
to beat that.
Oh, those numbers.
That's right. So, lots of really fun stuff happening in the universe that is wrestling. But that's kind of what we want to talk about a little bit, is do a little bit of a recap on some of the things that are going on in the summer of 2024. Now that we're officially in summer, we have all those summer blockbuster releases, and you get to see lots of really cool things. Well, there's lots of really cool things going on in the world of professional wrestling. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we are enjoying in this summer of 2024 in professional wrestling, some of our favorite promotions, some of our favorite storylines, and we'll see where the conversation takes us. But before we do that, let's go ahead and introduce our hosts here. So we'll go ahead and just start on my far, but only 18 inches away, far right, or left. I can't.
It's the same arm. It's been the same arm for 4 years.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. This is Josh.
And apparently I'm in the middle, although I'm the one that hardly ever is the fence sitter in
That's
wrestling.
right.
That's so true.
I am Dr. Deb.
That's right. And I, of course, am your host, Big Don. And again, thank you so much for joining us on the Stable Podcast. Now, if you are new to the Stable Podcast, welcome to the family. We are a professional wrestling podcast. We talk about storylines, we talk about characters, we talk about things that frustrate us. We talk about things that we really love, and we'll probably hit all of those things today. So, I think before we get into a ton of deep conversation, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a summer recap. Now, it's June 2024 when we're recording and releasing this episode. So there have been lots of PLEs and pay-per-views that have happened.
And they are different. Ask Swerve.
That's right. So, Joshy, go ahead and give us a little bit of a recap on some fun WWE stuff, and then Deb, if you want to give us a little bit of a recap on AEW, or we can just kind of mix and match, and then I'll just give you a recap on what I had for lunch.
There you go. I think
interesting.
it's great. We got a plan.
I think probably the biggest thing, obviously anyone who's been following since the beginning of the year, with the Royal Rumble, with Cody Rhodes winning, and the wonderful bounce of, is it going to be Rock and Roman, to where it ultimately came Roman and Cody, and then Seth and Damian that was ended up with a Money in the Bank cash in, Damian Priest over Drew McIntyre. Once we got through WrestleMania, we've talked kind of a bit about that. But since then, with Cody being your Universal Champion, your WWE Champion, and Damian Priest is the World Heavyweight Champion. Of course, the women's division is kind of shuffled around a little bit. Bayley is still the WWE Women's Champion, but now Liv Morgan is the Women's World Champion after beating Becky Lynch, who won the title in the Battle Royal thing. So those are your world title pictures, and the tag title pictures are changing around with Isla Dawn and Alba Fire winning them at Clash at the Castle, and I'm trying to think about all these. Intercontinental Champion Sami Zayn, United States Champion still Logan Paul. Tag Team Champions are split with the Miz and R-Truth as the World Tag Team Champions, and Austin Theory and Grayson Waller as the WWE Tag Champions. I just got to tell you, I'm surprised I remember this much right now. And Andrade is the Speed Champion.
Yeah.
Who?
The Speed Champion.
Is that new?
It
is new.
They have 3 minutes to put on matches. And Ricochet was the first one, which that's probably the biggest bit of news.
Yeah.
Obviously, CM Punk is on the road to recovery. It looks like he may be returning SummerSlam, which will get into the controversial finish about Clash at the Castle here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But that feud's rolling. Of course, the Wyatt Six have made their debut with Bo Dallas's Uncle Howdy and Eric Rowan returned to the company, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, and my personal favorite, the Sister
Nikki
Abigail character of Nikki Cross.
Which is-
Absolutely loving that.
I agree with our friend Quentin that Nikki is like made for that. He was delighted. He was like, I think that's a fantastic spot.
Absolutely,
for her to
she
be at.
is.
Yeah.
There's, it's. They went to France and
Oh my gosh.
AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes tore the house down there.
Can I just the all-star participant at that pay-per-view
Yes.
Was the crowd.
was the crowd. That
Absolutely.
crowd was, and you know what? At Clash of the Castle in Scotland,
They got close.
they were still at 100 decibels or so.
107
It was
we saw at one
so
time.
loud.
But France, they got
Good on you.
a
Good on
notification went out because they hit
Yeah.
111.
you. And you know what? Keep
Decibels.
it up.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Keep
That's
it
what
up.
I'm talking about.
Show
Like,
show people how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Which-
Right.
Because we
Teach
have-
us the way of the force here.
Right.
And
We have-
everything I just said is
Yes.
just Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
The real new, beside Ricochet, it looks like may not re-sign.
Yeah.
Which means he's going to explore other waters. I fully expect him to go to AEW.
Or he
Probably
may just-
do
he
New
may
Japan
just take a
also.
break. He may just
Maybe.
take a break. We'll
Becky
see.
Lynch is no longer under contract. She's taking a break right now. That is, she will go back, but she's taking a break.
Yeah, 100%.
But the real big news is NXT and TNA's crossover right now.
Yes.
Particularly, first off, it started with Jordan Grace, who made her appearance at the Rumble and also got to do the, was it Underground? Was that Battleground?
Battleground.
Battleground was where she faced off against former Roxy, Roseanne Perez. She was Roxy in Ring of Honor. Great match there, which Roxanne Perez retained, only to then have at TNA's Against All Odds, Paisley something, one of the NXT talent go and then lose to Jordan Grace. So they kind of won to that. To then do a 25-man battle royal, which had Frankie Kazarian, the first male superstar from TNA to ever cross over to NXT, be the first person in, and then I believe in Joe Hendry being the last participant from TNA. Again, if you've not seen this, it is now, I think, their number one liked tweet of 2024 is the playback of Joe Hendry, who is clearly made for an NXT crowd. They were
He
so
was
on
over.
him.
He was already
Just-
over.
yeah,
Half of the people who watch WWE, well, no, probably more than 70% of the people who watch WWE's product, I would say, have never heard of this guy.
No.
And the fact that he walked into NXT and the crowd was just lit on fire.
Say his
for
name
him.
and he appears.
Yeah,
I
it was good
believe in
stuff.
Joe Hendry.
It was good stuff.
And I'm all for it. This is AEW, which is going to be a great time to transition to my wife here. AEW showed how important it is for relationships across brands, with, of course, with AEW, CMLL, and New Japan. Of course, at one time, AAA, who's now working with TNA, which, because Coke and Pepsi, apparently AAA and CMLL can't play together nicely. Now that Triple H is getting it, we got NXT and TNA crossing over with possible AAA. That is a rumor going on right now that they're talking with NXT. And another big side of this is Noah, which is the second largest Japanese promotion, has Io Sky, Marigold, which is the second largest women's promotion, I think, maybe third because Joshi Pro might be number 2, is getting Io Sky, and AJ Styles is going over to be in the next Noah event.
Yeah.
This is awesome for pro wrestling fans to have this type of crossover. Absolutely awesome. So, with a Forbidden Door coming up, what do you get to add?
Why don't you describe the matches?
Oh, you
Because
want me
I
to go through this now?
Because you've already shown your impressive capabilities to be able to do
Do
this.
you have enough air in your lungs
I do, and I don't know all of them, but I do know quite a few of them that have already been announced.
on the card?
Yes,
Yeah.
the main event, of course, being Swerve versus Will Ospreay.
And hang on, I'm going to pause you for just a quick second. If you've never watched Forbidden Door, okay, to explain to you a little bit about, yes, we have a lot of emotional connection to Forbidden Door because it's kind of like, if you've ever been to an invitational competition, that's basically what Forbidden Door is. It's an opportunity for a lot of talent from other bigger brands or small brands, indie brands and stuff like that, to open their doors to other talent coming in and running events and promoting shows. And it is It is run by, is it New Japan who does
So
it? Or?
no, AEW Forbidden Door is
Okay.
AEW's.
and it's AEW and New Japan Forbidden
they're-
Door is
they're
what it has
booking
been.
it. They're
Yes,
booking
AEW is booking it. It's a United States property.
Yes.
But I know that New Japan just literally like last weekend did their kind of Forbidden Door style event with CMLL.
Yep.
Which they do a couple of those throughout the year because of their working relationship. And I hope not to burst anybody's bubble. This was a TNA idea first because they did When Worlds Collide
Yeah.
with New Japan.
Yeah.
And actually, before that, I think Ring of Honor did it because they sold out Madison Square Garden with Ring of Honor New Japan.
Yeah.
But AEW has made the Forbidden Door name important, particularly with AEW New Japan,
Yeah.
the other largest promotions in the world. And now that CMLL is being officially a part of it, because AAA was kind of unofficially a part of it because of
Right.
like when CMLL wasn't involved. No, they weren't. No, they were. AAA was never allowed on the New Japan card because of the relationship.
They had wrestlers that would.
There were AAA members
Yes.
who worked for AEW
Yes.
who could not work Forbidden Door because of the
Because-
relationship with CMLL New Japan.
Right.
So instead of AEW trying to fix the relationship with AAA and CMLL, they improved the relationship with CMLL so the CMLL stars could be on Forbidden Door.
Right.
Which is where we get to some of these cards.
And unfortunately, that's how compromises work sometimes. Like you're not going to get everything that you want. You just try and find the best possible middle road for the parties that can get to that point of negotiation. I can imagine that with CMLL and AAA, because of that relationship being so tenuous, it was probably a better interest with CMLL versus what AAA was going to bring to the actual event.
Yeah, I can see that,
Yeah.
but they also still have guys that commonly work for AAA that are in AEW and are not going to leave. Like Rush,
Right.
perfect example. They just did on Dynamite. They opened Dynamite with MJF, his first match back since injury, versus Rush, a former
Right.
Ring of Honor World Champion. He's been in AAA many times. Great match, and they went commercial free and opened the show.
Yeah.
Like, great way to get that, because Rush couldn't be on the Forbidden Door card.
Right.
And MJF is like,
So you might as well push him. Yeah,
So give him an opportunity. And now MJF is facing a very well-known CMLL guy by the name of Hechicero, which has probably one of the coolest entrances I've seen. Lots of fire, and legitimately he like brings fire. Like, it's a thing. It's weird. But he's a luchador submission specialist.
Oh, okay.
He beat Dalton Castle up pretty bad on Collision a couple weeks ago, and he's kind of scary. And he's been working with they used to be called the Embassy. I don't know what they're going by now because it's Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. I don't know what they're going by now because they turned on Swerve.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, main event Swerve and Will Ospreay for the World Championship, which means Ospreay's International Championship is not on the line, which I think is very important.
Yeah.
Because in prediction land, I think a lot of us believe that Ospreay's going to win. But if he doesn't, they got to figure out some way to get him in a big profile match at Wembley, because the winner of the Owen Hart tournament gets the world title match.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't win, he's not going to be in the world title match. So I don't know what that means yet.
Right.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
What else was it? Because our friend Adam Copeland, a jumper from WWE, jumped off a 15-foot cage that had barbed wire on it on Malachi Black, fractured his tibia. So it's surgery. As a result, our TNT champion had to give up his TNT title. So before I go any further on that, Doctor, was that smart?
The questions that I get asked, no, in my professional opinion, that was not Adam Cole's wisest decision. Copeland, because Cole also busted his ankle.
No, but Adam Cole did it jumping off the ramp.
Right.
He went this far.
Right.
Adam Copeland jumped off a house.
So both of the Adams in this Adams family drama need to be taught
Oh, sorry.
that
Snaps, I know.
gravity is real. And it doesn't always want to be your friend. So, when it is a choice of jumping off or staying on solid ground and continuing to, wrestle, which is what you're getting paid for, it would be smarter to stay on the ground. And maybe you do a jump. That would be okay. Yeah. But otherwise...
or from the top rope into the ring.
Right, exactly. Where you're supposed to be wrestling anyway. So, yeah, Adam Copeland's got literally no
Apparently,
excuse.
Adams are not great about their
They're really
legs.
not. I'm just saying. Adams and see the tibia is
Anything
involved
from-
in the ankle.
I was
I'm
gonna
like,
say anything below the knee.
we got issues right in here with the
Kick it in the
Adams,
other knee.
okay? So
That's right.
we're gonna go over. I don't know if they're getting
That's
an
right.
anatomy class as part of their therapy. They really need to.
Oh, but you know what? With that advice, you know how they're going to determine the next TNT champion?
No,
A ladder match.
Oh, what could possibly go wrong? Oh,
I don't
my.
remember all of the participants at this point,
Heavens.
but I think I've got most of them. Leo Rush just
Oh,
recently
no.
returned. He's
Great.
from New Japan.
That's great.
He's the
Yay,
New Japan
no.
representative at the moment.
Yep, that's great.
Dante Martin.
Oh no.
Perfect.
He's my pick.
Perfect.
He's my pick for the
Dante?
disaster.
Oh, don't worry. We're not for the disaster.
For the
Sure.
disaster.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
something to go
If
wrong.
Oh my gosh.
I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. Desperately want to be
The
wrong.
scapegoat, Jack Perry.
Yes.
Your winner, by
Nope.
the way.
Yeah.
I'm near like if we
Yeah.
get any feel good moments, it won't be that match.
No.
Yeah.
But I would love to be wrong because Mark Briscoe is also in it.
Yeah.
Oh!
He won't win.
I know,
But it'll come down.
He's
I bet
Ring
it-
of Honor World Champion. I'm okay with him not winning because
You're
he's got
right.
a belt.
He's already
Right.
carrying
And I feel like Briscoe being there. So
If he wasn't gonna be crazy enough.
I love him
Yeah.
just in general.
Yep.
Like, and as a wrestler, I mean,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
nuts.
That
Yeah.
was mine.
He's nuts.
I love it.
But I do think that obviously the circumstances with his brother
Oh yeah.
extremely unfortunate. However, I am glad that we got a chance to really see them on a much bigger stage before the loss of his brother, and the fact that he has had the opportunity now with AEW and some of the promotions that he's worked with that have really bolstered him and pushed him into more of the limelight. Even if he's kind of a mid-card guy, he's a mid-card guy that has a recognizable name, which
Yeah.
is incredible. And I think that him being in a match like that
Yeah.
is going to be like Kofi being in the ladder match, where it's just like he's there for the
Ah.
spectacle.
Orange Cassidy.
Yeah,
He's
well,
also in it.
yeah.
Oh.
See, that's another one. Like, if he walks out as champ in this, I won't be mad.
No.
Though I fully expect Trent Beretta and or Chris Statlander to cost him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what else.
Is
that
Darby
story.
Allin in that one?
Darby is not. Darby is recovering from getting kicked in the face while hanging upside down with a thumbtack shoe.
Yeah, that would happen.
That actually happened.
Yeah.
These
This
are
is
the
what
things that
happens
happen.
when Sting is not with Darby anymore.
Understand? She asked me to talk about AEW. Which okay, cool. What else? We got Bryan Danielson and Shingo Takagi
Yes.
in a round one of the Owen Hart tournament.
Right.
Shingo Takagi is a former New Japan IWGP World Champion. If you didn't know that, also goes by some Dragon moniker, and of course Bryan Danielson, who I believe is the current best professional wrestler alive. Just as a wrestler, it's a conversation for another day. Yeah, that's going to be insane. As I mentioned earlier, MJF and Hechicero. On the women's side of things, probably the most interesting story is Toni Storm, who will be accompanied to the ring by Mariah May, puts on her women's world championship against Mina Shirakawa, who will probably also be accompanied to the ring by Mariah May. I'm not really sure how
Yeah.
that's going to work out, but
Right,
yeah,
'cause
it's a
Mariah
thing.
is like friends
With both,
of them.
it's fascinating that they're like fighting over almost the custody of her. It's really
Yeah.
weird, but also fascinating.
Yeah.
Because Mina is just like bubbly and dancy and like all about like, well, frankly, sexiness versus Toni Storm, who's timeless.
Right.
I did the black and white filter right now.
Yeah.
And then get
right
rid
there.
of it. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yep. That's what needs to
I'm
happen.
doing it. Anyways.
I know you are. I know he is. I already
We're
know
video,
that it's
we can.
happening. So, because he can.
You're very noir.
I am so much. I just want to step off and lean closer into the mic.
French, you to start saying
TBS
French
Championship. Stephanie Vacour, who is the like CMLL Women's Champion, the New Japan Strong Women's Champion. I think she has one other belt. Is putting the New Japan Strong Women's Championship title for title with Mercedes Moné in her TBS Championship, which that should be fascinating in itself as well.
Yeah.
I do not. So obviously, Will Ospreay's not defending his international championship. I'm not sure what Okada's doing at this point. John Moxley is defending his IWGP Championship against Tetsuya Naito. Jay White, I think, might actually be in the ladder match as well, now that I'm thinking about it. So that means the Trios Championship won't be on the line at this particular show. And possibly the Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed for the tag titles.
Oh.
Because the Acclaimed earned their tag title shot. That doesn't necessarily mean that they'll get it. Speaking of the Owen Hart tournament, I do not know all of the brackets, but there is a mystery man slot, which I believe is primed and ready for a returning Hangman Adam Page.
Oh, yeah.
Or Ricochet.
Ricochet's into summer. We're not going to probably see him till All In, All Out.
Oh, does he have an on?
Which got delayed to 2
Well, no,
weeks.
why would he have an on-compete?
It's not that. It's the contract is not due
His
to
con-
end until
yeah,
the
his-
end of the summer.
Oh,
He's not
he's
out of
in
his contract
yet. Okay,
technically.
gotcha.
He just
Okay.
has not. He just also has not yet resigned.
Right,
Right.
understood.
But the way they let him out, even though Braun Breaker murdered this guy,
Yeah.
he could probably come back pretty quickly. So, I'm not at, I know TNA's on our list back here, and I've given what's interesting to me about TNA right now, other than the system is very entertaining of Moose, Eddie Edwards, Alicia Edwards, and Brian Myers, a very interesting stable, with the help of JDC, Johnny Dango Curtis, changed his name. He's not in the system, apparently is. And PCO went on a date with Stephanie DeLander, who is Matt Cardona's valet. Not significant other, because Chelsea Green just won a spot in the Money in the Bank match, which, that's amazing. Money in the Bank is next. And my brain just stopped. Yep. I think I've output about all I can.
Yeah. You don't have to watch the last 6 months of wrestling at this point.
No.
Just the first 20 minutes of our show.
Pretty much. I'm gonna
And-
say
and-
that's the Josh Demery
Yeah,
portion
and you're
of the event.
Thank you to Sean Ross Sapp, What Culture Wrestling.
Yes.
And you know what? Thanks to a bunch of marks for just being an entertaining
Oh,
podcast.
a bunch of marks. Brian and his whole crew.
There you go.
I'm excited to see them
Yeah.
in Louisville.
Join us at PopCon Louisville, August 22nd through
2nd,
4th?
3rd,
Is that right?
4th, yeah.
Something like that. It's the third weekend in August.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look at the
Louisville.
calendar, and that sounds about right. Yeah.
Is there a pay-per-view that weekend?
No.
That's
Yes.
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 Yes,
All
there
in.
is.
Yeah.
AEW
So-
All In
I was
that
gonna
Sunday.
say you cried about that at least twice.
Yeah.
That we would come up like there.
We'll make it happen.
Okay. Okay.
It'll be one of those things where Deb will be like, I'm watching it live.
Right.
Love you.
I love you.
Yeah.
See ya.
I get it.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We'll turn the pre-show on in the car on the way up.
Driving home?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's on at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. No, we wouldn't do that. That's
Never.
illegal.
We would never do that.
Never. Shh.
Don't tell anybody.
We don't talk about Bruno. We don't talk about that.
Right.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. So now that you're caught up,
Well,
right?
good lord.
That kind of gets us into our next point of conversation and discussion, right? So, lots of moving parts going on in big promotions. TNA working with NXT, I think, is incredible.
Yes.
I think, honestly, I'm a community guy. I'm a networking guy, just in real life. I love making those connections with people. So seeing that play out in something that I have a passion for, like pro wrestling, is awesome. I love the idea that we're no longer in the old guard era of wrestling where everything has to be a microcosm of wrestlers and you got this promotion versus there's already enough competition between the big companies and stuff on a commercial level that I feel like that ends up bleeding into a lot of the social aspect of wrestling. And, Deb and I may not agree with everything on the ins and outs. Josh and I might not agree with everything on the ins and outs. I know Josh and Deb don't always agree on everything with the ins and outs of wrestling. But what's great is there is so much professional wrestling out there. And I was actually just having this conversation on Friday with one of my coworkers. Her husband is a big wrestling fan. And I said, I've been a wrestling fan since I was a teenager. I started watching Power Plant when I was a young guy on a Saturday morning. But I started really paying attention to and getting into pro wrestling during the Attitude Era, during the Monday Night Wars. Flipping back and forth between commercial breaks to WWF
the
and
other
then
show.
WCW.
So funny.
And so what's interesting to me is for so long it was very much this closed door mentality of This is the microcosm of WWE wrestling. This is the microcosm of WCW wrestling. This is the microcosm of ECW wrestling. These are all your little bitty tiny indie promotions that just hopefully will happen to get off the ground. You know, now we have this almost this like ebb and flow of people's interests. And you know, I was talking to somebody at work about it the other day, and I said, I personally do not feel like there has been a better time to be a pro wrestling fan than right now.
Yep.
Because if you don't like the storyline driven narrative of WWE, that's okay. Because you can always switch over to AEW. If you don't like the hard hitting nature and the more like TV PG or a little higher than that at times nature of AEW, but you love the action, watch New Japan or watch Ring of Honor. You know, if you like something that has a little bit of a feel for WWE and a little bit of a feel for AEW, Impact. They kind of have a little bit of everything for, you know, and those are just the bigger promotions.
And if you really something weird, NXT.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Or, you know, if you want to watch an indie promotion, OVW has a weekly show on Thursdays.
YouTube.
Like, yeah, you can find them on YouTube. You can find, you know, like Ring of Honor is sort of like the farm team, if you will, of AEW. And NXT, like Joshy said, is the farm team, if you will, for Raw and SmackDown WWE roster.
Oh, speaking of that, be ready to have no idea where your television is showing wrestling.
Yeah.
Because in 2025, Raw's moving to Netflix, SmackDown's moving at the end of this year to USA, and then in October, NXT's moving to the CW. Enjoy that.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, you know, well, like, you'll just have to get a different menu of streaming channels.
Yeah,
And so far, AEW isn't moving anywhere?
Right now, they're not, but
So
Good.
far.
Good.
I believe Warner Brothers is going to keep them because they just lost the NBA, so they're
Right.
going to need something big.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right, because
Yeah.
they're going to NBC, right?
Yep.
Exclusively?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
IndyCar's going to Fox
And
to
Paramount.
join
Yeah.
NASCAR.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Which means
Yeah.
what's going to stay on CBS? The NFL.
The
Yeah,
NFL.
Yeah. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, well, that was short enough.
That's
not
it. Yeah, that's all we
I was
got.
like,
That's all we're
copyright?
getting.
Okay, no, that's
Sorry.
That's all we're
good.
getting.
We're at 2 or 3
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
good.
And that plays with, you know, like they still do they do Monday Night
But
Football.
football's on Prime sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it's on ESPN.
ESPN also. Yeah.
So, can you watch? This is pardon me. Can you watch Monday Night Football on Disney Plus yet?
I don't think so. I don't think they're doing live sports
I feel
yet.
like they need to have
ESPN
that.
Plus possibly eventually,
Okay. Yeah.
but
I don't think they're
Disney
there
was
yet.
one of the front runners for WWE.
Yeah,
They were.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
I'm glad too.
I don't know. Not having to pay for Netflix and already getting Disney Plus with it as
Yeah,
well. I mean,
no, I'm not saying that
That's
it wouldn't
not the
have
issue,
been.
but
I'm
I
not
mean-
saying it would not have been a commercially
Look.
good choice.
Y'all know that The Rock could have
Yeah.
sat in on that board meeting and done just fine and busted out with "You're welcome."
Right.
But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
I don't
that if
think that
Tinkerbell
he-
starts flying on top of the Wyatt Six, we are not in Kansas anymore. Okay.
They have fireflies. They do not have pixies.
Why-
They don't have pixies.
White Six when they get Netflix money. That's
Oh my gosh.
They're gonna have their own show.
So
They'll do a
speaking
spin-off
of that-
show.
Speaking of that, let's talk about our
You're
favorite.
welcome.
Are we
Triple
moving
H.
into favorite?
Yes.
Triple
Yeah.
H
Yes.
needs my idea.
Okay,
Okay.
It needs to be a
Okay.
TV show. It's what he did originally.
Idiots, it's called Monday Night Raw.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's a spin-off show. You've done other spin-off shows, H. You need to have the Firefly Funhouse as a separate show on Netflix.
This is why we put her in the taller chair. That way she can get our soapbox.
Not
and he's
at all.
over here shaking his head.
No, and I'll tell you
It was a
why.
great idea.
I'll tell you
It
why.
was a great idea. Now
The
I
Firefly
agree it's a good
Funhouse.
idea.
The Firefly Funhouse was an incredible idea.
yes.
Bray
For
Wyatt.
Mm.
Bray Wyatt
Genius.
will always be
Um,
one of my favorite professional wrestlers and storytellers ever. Like he is, in my opinion,
his creativity is
he-
ridiculous.
we can argue all day and all night that maybe he didn't have the longest moveset.
Right.
But we've seen people like John Cena and Hulk Hogan make an incredible multi-million-dollar career out of 5 moves of doom.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. Truth.
So I'm not so concerned with how many moves a wrestler can execute. I am a narrative guy. I am a story guy. And I am not joking you when I tell you that every week I was captivated by his story. And to the point where, and a lot of us I think were, in the grips of what was going to happen with Bray Wyatt, what was going to happen with the Firefly Funhouse, what was going to happen with Alexa Bliss and the Wyatt family and things like that. And how upsetting it was to see things kind of get like pulled away from us way too early.
Yeah.
In a very non-climactic manner.
Yeah.
But separating Bray from Wyndham, we'll always miss Wyndham. But what his brother Tyler has done... Taylor, thank you. What his brother Taylor has done, Bo Dallas, if you are familiar with his wrestling name.
I believe.
If you have not... I've been hounding these guys. Like, the deep dive that you just heard from Joshi with, like, all of the wrestling thing, that has been me fixated for the last 7 months on what was going to happen with what is now the Wyatt Six. I literally have a notebook and a half of literally every little message, every little secret code, all of these different theories and stuff like that.
Have you seen that Charlie Day meme with the like post?
Yeah.
We were getting that.
Oh
weekly.
my gosh, that was me.
It was real.
Every time there was a new video that dropped on Dreadmare, I was like, I'm in it. You know, when they started doing the QR codes, I'm there with my phone waiting for it to flash up, and I'm like, oh, okay, got it. All right. So when Monday Night Raw closed on the 17th of June, and the last few minutes of that show, we got one of the coolest freak show horror movie debuts of what I think is going to be, if given the opportunity and creative license to do so, probably one of the best stables that we're going to see.
Interesting.
I am so excited about all 5 of these superstars and what might happen. Like, we were fan theorying on, like, who's next? Like, because we know what Bray's thing was. Bray's thing was he had a wall of pictures of people that he had been, you know...
That he'd taken out or he'd been fixated on,
Yeah, and he had been jilted by these people, and he was always that guy who would break that fourth wall and go back in time and say, like, yeah, years ago when I was, you know, his Husky Harris character, and I got slighted by these people, and he would seek retribution on that. And I honestly think we're going to get a very similar glimpse with this Uncle Howdy character and with all of these Wyatt Six characters. And the group may get bigger. It may not. Honestly, I kind of want them to just stay these 5. My theory that I posted to our chat group was the Wyatt Six, the 6th, being the Firefly himself, encapsulated in his own lantern, leading the Wyatts into whatever their future is going to be. That's the 6th. Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt being the 6th of the Wyatt Six. That's what I think. I think the 5 members that they have there are going to be the 5 members.
Which means Alexa Bliss can just return as the goddess she should be.
Yes. I love Alexa Bliss. And I think that it would be really cool, and I posted this to our little chat group. I think it would be really neat if they put Braun and Alexa kind of back together.
Team Little Big.
Yeah, Team Little Big in this like weird like storyline with maybe Eric Rowan and Nikki Cross or something like that. I think that would be really cool. So
is that the big, like, your big program you're into right now?
I'm into like all of the Alpha Academy stuff. I really like that. I like I love the new Bloodline 2.0 stuff that they're doing. I feel like
don't take everything away because the two of us can talk too.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to lean in on them. I'm just saying, like, of the active storylines that are going on.
Sure.
That one's gonna. I'm hooked.
Yeah, I did all the talking at the beginning. What we talked a little bit about this earlier, Deb. I'm calling it a program because some stories, you know her. She sometimes the stories don't make nearly enough sense for her, so she doesn't care. Some wrestlers, they don't make nearly enough sense, so she doesn't care. So what program is it that keeps you coming back to AEW, but professional wrestling in general?
Well, I am an AEW mark, so it's going to be an AEW. I'll dash over to WWE a little bit, but the two, and it's hard for me to actually decide between the two. Ospreay's meteoric rise has got my attention primarily. Because he came in like a bat out of somewhere, and
Japan.
Okay,
But yeah.
out of Japan.
right,
Thank you.
Japan.
He did come in out of Japan. And I mean, he is. There's no words to describe him. Watching him, he is a force of nature. When you watch him wrestle, it's ridiculous. It's almost unfair to watch him in his skill
He's
set.
the aerial assassin. That's literally the words they use for him.
And that's actually believable. Yes. And as someone who would often be like, that's not reality. Yes.
Yeah.
So his match against Swerve Strickland is going to be the one that I'm going to be most glued to. Bryan Danielson's match is also going to be amazing. And that's going to be, I think, the unsung hero, because Bryan Danielson doesn't need a belt to make a match that he does.
But if he gets to main event Wembley as his last big show before he ends his full-time career,
I would not be sorry. Although, do you main event it with Danielson, or do you main event it with Ospreay, or do you main event it with both of them?
both of them.
Because
If we
Ospreay
have-
injured.
If we
it's a
have a
choice.
choice,
Right? Because Ospreay
Do you-
injured Danielson, right? And looked really torn up about it, even though Cal was just like, it's fine, it's fine. And he looked really upset about it. What if Danielson comes back and it was just like, no, you owe me.
Yeah.
So this is how you're gonna owe me, and then you're gonna give me this. I don't know.
You can have cake or donuts or both.
Or both.
I'm choosing both.
Exactly. And I'm just gonna fall over like
Yeah.
in sheer joy if that happens. But and anyway, so Ospreay's just meteoric rise. I'm so curious to see if they're gonna get him, if he's going to be 2 belts. Because he's already got a belt. Are they going to put the second belt on him before we go to Wembley?
I think you do.
I think you do too, but I adore Ospreay. Mr. Swerve Strickland fan over here may disagree with me.
I'm a fan of both of them. I just can't be
Yeah.
mad if either of them win. That's why.
I'm just
Sure.
so anyway, so that wins for me, because just the amount of eyeballs that are on him. AEW's where the best wrestle, and I mean, when you look at Ospreay's matches, period. I mean, my jaw's on the floor, and I've now seen him wrestle in person. He's just as impressive in person in our Indiana State Fairgrounds arena as he would be at Wembley. Like he's that good.
Yeah, he's always on. He's not a
always
guy
on.
who.
Exactly.
Yeah, he for house shows or for smaller venues or anything like that. He's not a guy who just puts it on the shelf or you know.
No, his timing is
he's-
always there.
he's-
He's present.
Yes.
In every match that I've ever seen. I've never seen him not be there.
And I take it just from his work ethic that he's the guy. So there's an expression that probably lots of industries use when it comes to performance, but I've done a few musicals and things like that in community theater, and there's an expression that one of the directors that I worked with uses: each night like the first night.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
the people, and I heard a really great interview. One of my favorite athletes of all time, Kobe Bryant. He used to say he would go to work sick. He would go to work injured. He was not the kind of guy that liked to take days off because of really anything. Because he grew up as a fan of basketball. And he remembers being that kid who would be able to every once in a while go to a game, but he would sit in the nosebleeds just to be able to see a live game.
Right.
And so he would be at every game that he could be at, because in his mind, that was the only night that someone might see him in the nosebleed section, and that's why he was there.
Yeah.
And I feel like Will Ospreay and I think a lot of wrestlers in today's day and age, but Will Ospreay, especially since we're kind of talking about him, seems to be that kind of a character.
Yeah.
I'm going to show up at a venue that has 4,000 people, 400 people, 14,000 people,
Right.
and I'm going to put on the same quality show in every one of those venues, because the people that are here may never get a chance to see me live again.
Exactly.
So and
Yeah.
he's incredible to watch, and he's so talented, because you have to know that a guy like that who can go as hard as he can has got a huge amount of control as well, because he's not a guy who gets hurt
No.
a lot, not
Right.
majorly. I mean, you probably you tweak a thing here or there,
Sprain it, or something. Yeah.
but he's not a guy who gets major injuries
Right.
very often, and so you know that he's somebody who's also thinking about what he's doing and executing it at a high level so that he can continue to do it at that level.
I heard somewhere, and I don't know if it's true. I'm not trying to start a rumor, but I thought I heard someone say that he's actually very high functioning autism spectrum disorder, like
And
what it used to be known as-
dyslexic also.
and yeah, exactly. So he's someone who would have a work ethic already, having to deal with that, and as someone who is able to put a tremendous amount of focus and tremendous amount of tightening into what he does. And so I think maybe that's what resonates with me, is that I sense that even in his character, I sense that work ethic, and I can see it like in front of me. And so I think that's what really gets my attention. In a similar, not in a different way, MJF has got my curiosity now that he's back of what is he gonna do next? Because he's not targeting the championship belt right now. He will obviously eventually.
No, but they teased that on Dynamite. Well, they teased Ospreay and MJF.
It's all they have to do at this point.
Yeah.
Because that's somebody else who, in a different way, in a different vein inside professional wrestling, but continually is on. Like, he is so kayfabe. I mean, he is MJF. Always. He's MJF in the back alley behind Indiana State Fairgrounds getting pictures taken. He's MJF at the table. He is so invested in that character that and so right now he's the lone gun right now, right? Because now that Adam Cole has stabbed him in the back, he trusted someone, he stabbed him in the back. That's it. Screw the world. It's me versus the world. That's how this game is going to play. And so literally all bets are off. Like, what direction does MJF want to go?
What if Adam Cole screws MJF
Again?
He's already done it once.
to set up future?
Possibly.
How do you think?
I don't think we're going to get Adam Cole back by All In. I hope we do, but I don't think we will.
Okay.
But I will tell you that based off the words you just said, it puts something in my mind that you will both love and hate at the same time.
Okay,
Which
please.
is Swerve beats Will Ospreay. Bryan Danielson wins the Owen Hart Cup. And we get Bryan Danielson and Swerve and MJF and Will Ospreay for the International Championship at All In.
That would be cool.
Oh.
That'd be an interesting clash of styles too, because
Yeah, it would.
because MJF and Will Ospreay are two very different kinds of wrestlers.
Yeah, very much.
And honestly,
Yeah.
so are Swerve and
Danielson.
Like,
Yes.
they are two very. Swerve. I think Swerve and Danielson styles will find more compliments in each other than Ospreay and MJF, because MJF is very much kind of like that. Like, he still has a lot of really athletic moves and things like that, but very much is kind of like that old school heel style, whereas Ospreay is very
flippy-dippy-doo-dah.
high charisma, high intensity, and impact moves. I think that is a very interesting.
What match was it? Was it Danielson versus MJF when they did all sorts of old styles?
Yeah, during the Iron Man match?
Yeah, the Iron Man
yeah,
match.
yeah.
That was it. I was so impressed with MJF in that match because I was curious as to whether he would be able to pull off that rhythm if they decided to go that way. And I was really impressed with what he could
put
do.
it in.
Yep.
He did.
I love the fact that he switched his finisher from the Salt of the Earth to the Brain Buster.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a cool change. Are you good on your programs?
Yeah, those are two, and of course they're both in AEW. So yeah, they're mine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. No one's
So,
shocked here.
We know that you're an AEW.
We know. We get it.
I'm loud and proud.
And truth be told, because I knew I needed to have a list, because when we disagree, there are some things like this. Like, Will Ospreay is like the thing to be drawn to in AEW right now, and I'm certainly glad. Well, MJF was second, so don't hate me.
Go ahead.
I vehemently disagree with the decision to have him lose in Scotland, but I believe CM Punk and Drew McIntyre have one of the best storylines on television right now.
I agree.
I'm over Phil Brooks as Phil Brooks, and I think it's stupid to have him lose in Scotland. But the reason why I am fascinated is actually because somebody else pointed this out to me, and I'm frustrated that he's right, is that CM Punk, the super Bret Hart fan that he is, they are basically mimicking Bret Hart's Shawn Michaels after Shawn lost his smile.
Yeah.
It is, it's almost that exact storyline. And it was captivating then, and it's captivating now to see Drew McIntyre quit on Monday, only to then show up on SmackDown and get that single camera shot of them raising that garage door, Punk laid out,
Oh yeah.
bloody. That was the thing that I didn't realize until after watching it again later, which shows WWE, who doesn't use blood all that often, this is when blood is impactful. That's why when you hear people, too much blood, like they have a good point because of a situation like this. To have Drew like hoist him out, fireman's carry, drop him on the stage, then get physical with Nick Aldis, the GM of SmackDown, when he's not even a part of SmackDown.
My two spirit animals were fighting. My heart was breaking.
Scotland
versus England, I don't know what to pick.
I do.
Because the most fascinating thing about all of this is this storyline started because Punk tore his tricep on accident at the hand of Drew McIntyre. And they went, well, what are we going to do with this? And here we are 6 months later. They haven't fought once, and they're the most polarizing and captivating thing, in my opinion, on WWE. Third only to Will Ospreay and MJF. See, you can't hate me that much because I agreed with you on the other two.
CM Punk and Drew McIntyre dream of being as good as Will Ospreay.
She's right, but that's
so what's funny about what you said about those two and the Shawn Michaels Bret Hart angle is I also have heard a comparison of the oh my gosh, why am I blanking on their tag team name? When Macho Man and Hogan split over Miss Elizabeth, the World Powers?
Mega Powers.
Compared to Chad Gable and Otis.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's real good.
Like, it's not the same.
Not quite, but I see the comparison.
But like the image, the visual that was brought up to me was in one of the most recent shows that they were on. Otis saves Dupree, carries her out, and you see the shot that they take on the camera is Otis carrying Dupree up the ramp, and Gable standing behind him, yelling at him and pointing at him, and then they showed a mirror of Hulk carrying Miss Elizabeth out, and Macho Man yelling at Hulk in the ring, and I was like, man, that's good stuff. Like, you know what? Sometimes I feel like it's like I don't like to run the exact same storyline over and over and over. Like, don't have to beat it to death.
Oh, it's very different now.
No. But I agree with you. I agree with you. Yeah, I think the 3.5 or whatever it was year run of the Bloodline, it got real monotonous. Same with Charlotte Flair.
Yep.
I love Charlotte Flair. She is such an incredible talent, and she has contributed so much to wrestling and women's wrestling specifically. But there's a time when you can put the princess on the shelf. Like, it's
queen.
She's
queen.
I understand, but you get my point.
Yes, I do.
You get my point. The royalty can be set aside so that other storylines can be unveiled. You don't have to continue to rinse and repeat the same. But when you're talking about a 30 to 40 year difference in storylines, like
it's had time to breathe.
It's
had a lot of time to breathe.
And honestly, we all know there's no new thing under the sun, right? No. Everything is kind of a reinvention of something else. And so...
I mean, this new Bloodline, old Bloodline storyline is just a Mafia storyline.
100%.
Right? Like,
100%.
Which I love. Like, who's actually in charge. Poor Paul Heyman's getting pulled in the middle. Like, there's so many great things.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're able to bring in all of Haku's kids, not all of them, Hikuleo's not there yet, but all of Haku's kids are coming in, and like this whole Samoan... This is the thing, and I've commented before, like, I disagreed with Cody Rhodes losing at WrestleMania 39, even though Jey Uso, who is so over, it is absurd, I believe could have gotten just as over without Roman being champion. But what has come out of Roman losing at 40 is these 4 new stars in the new Bloodline, including 3 of them who have not worked for WWE ever. Are making, and I take that back. I think Tonga Loa did at one point, but they're working their way up, and that's what Roman wanted. Like he's been asked that before, that this whole thing for him was about doing a character reinvention, and he wanted to be more of this this tribal chief type character, was something he's always wanted to work with. But ultimately, it was about improving the status of his family, which is what all the Samoans have always been about.
Yeah.
Yokozuna, well, everybody talked about him being such a great guy to work with because he was about elevating people.
He like very much. I think as an organization, they are doing what guys like individual superstars like a Chris Jericho, a Bryan Danielson.
Hi guys, Learning Tree. Hi.
Yeah, like guys who have taken the opportunity to elevate the next generation of people. I mean, Roman is closer to retirement than he is the beginning of his career.
Yeah.
Eventually, there's a door that he's going to walk through where he's no longer going to be that guy. So giving his cousins and his family and those who are connected with that family those opportunities to bolster themselves, it's no different than Bryan Danielson going head-to-head with MJF. Because MJF is the next guy. Like, he is, when AEW came around and they had those 4 pillars, we're finally getting real action on a lot of that.
3 of them for sure. Hopefully we'll get Sammy back soon.
Yes, exactly. And I think that, the time that he's had off is family time. Like,
so, some of it's family time,
right.
Some of it he's an idiot, concussed a guy and didn't realize it.
Right. Which, I
know it happens.
Yeah. But in general, like, you're finally... You're in
he didn't realize how severe it was, and that there was a mistake made.
Yeah, I mean, Big E broke his neck because somebody executed a backdrop the wrong way, and unfortunately, it is a risk of what happens. Yeah. I'm not saying that it's excusable or not excusable. It's just objectively, when you walk into that ring, you are putting you're putting your safety in the hands of someone else.
They took Ridge Holland off TV after that happened with Big E.
Yeah. And
I believe Sammy got suspended as well, just because the way it went down, the concussion went down, and they continued after with a move to the head.
Yeah.
That's what got him in trouble.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like there's anything negative coming out of it. Like, Sammy will be back in the fold eventually, which is great. And we know Darby's been amazing. Like, that's what I mean by that. But speaking of that, before we wrap up here, I've got to make a note. I mentioned this with Drew McIntyre. I don't remember their names, but I know that AEW in particular has picked up a couple of hires that left WWE as part of the TKO integration. Some of the people that were no longer needed in particular roles because they were already part of UFC. Others who just wanted to move on, like the person in charge of live events, and somebody who's come in as like a chief creative officer who particularly specializes in women's wrestling. I know that there are a lot of people out there who are commenting on AEW's ratings, and like they just had a really rough Wednesday here recently. It was only like 500,000 viewers, but it was on Juneteenth and the NHA finals, and then people were like, well, that shouldn't have caused this, or couldn't. Look, it doesn't matter. It was an amazing show that a lot of fans absolutely loved. And ultimately, if Warner Brothers signs a big deal and gives them a pay increase for the next 3 to 5 years, or somebody else picks them up, then they're successful. That, in the end, that's what matters. But the reason why I was coming to that was you'll see on both AEW and WWE programming in particular some significant production improvements between the single camera shots that WWE is using a lot. AEW has started to use them now around, doing it around the ringside area. I see that they may be bringing back the Collision, like pre-show promos and stuff, which I think kind of make it unique. And like there's just been the women's division in general has a significant storyline element going on in AEW with Will Nightingale and Chris Statlander, and then Mercedes Moné, who this lady that they brought in worked with Sasha when she was in WWE.
Right.
And then Toni Storm, Mariah May, like this. AEW is really trying to bolster that side of the live event. Like they know they're having to work smaller venues because they can sell those venues. Yeah. Which is great, provides a better feel.
No? When AEW comes to Indy, they produce their show at the Coliseum, which is on the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
Which I think seats at most 6,000 people.
I think it's like 6 to
maybe 8.
Yeah, 6 to 8,000, right? Which is $10,000 less than what Gamebridge will hold, which is where they do the WWE shows typically. But what's interesting is I feel like the energy level with 10,000 less opportunity, or 10,000 less people in opportunity, the energy level is almost higher at those smaller venues, because just like when we do improv and you have 30 people in an improv show, but you stick them all together and you push them towards the stage so that when they laugh, they all laugh together and it sounds like a chorus of people. It's the same effect. You're not filling as much negative space with that energy.
Yeah.
And it allows for what I feel like, especially when we went to the most recent AEW show, there was so much wrestling. It was
because they did Ring of Honor
crazy.
tapings also.
Yes.
It was crazy.
And they did
a
a
bunch of
Rampage
dark,
segment.
Yeah,
it was.
dark match. Oh yeah.
Congratulations to Angela Parker and Ruby Soho.
Yes, yes. By the way,
Yep.
They're married now.
They are.
I did. I was
saw
gonna
the
say they
pictures.
did. We
I
saw
the
their
pictures.
pics.
But we're still waiting for our invite, but that's okay.
That's okay. I know the wedding's over, but we'd still bring a present.
We would
Yes,
do, yes,
that's a
yes,
fact.
we would. Yes, you know, she probably has pregnancy cravings. Can I help you with chocolate? Anywho,
Anyhow,
See, so Wyatt Six, Osprey MJF, Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, and I will also, just for honorable mention, really looking forward to the explosion when Roman Reigns returns at SummerSlam.
same.
Oh my god, that crowd's gonna lose their mind.
Same.
And where are they at? Where's SummerSlam? Seems in Cleveland this year.
Yes.
That football stadium is gonna blow its roof off.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, and they have to set something up with the Miz in Cleveland. 'Cause
Well,
Cleveland.
isn't Logan Paul also?
He's from Ohio.
he
Ohio,
needs to,
okay.
he
He's from
needs
Ohio.
to
He's
lose
not
in
from,
Cleveland
like,
too,
Akron.
right?
What's that?
No, the bitterness.
I mean,
of
yeah,
that.
you could.
The
He needs to
bitterness.
lose in Cleveland too.
I mean, he would.
doesn't
He. I'm not even gonna say it. Never mind. I was gonna be real mean. I was gonna be real
I'm
mean, but I will
gonna
not
say,
say
you
it.
don't have to be mean to me.
I'm not
I
gonna
didn't
be
lose.
mean to you. It was.
I didn't
I'm not gonna.
lose
I'm
in my
not.
home country
I'm
that I
not.
crossed an
gonna
ocean
do
to
it.
get to.
I'm not gonna do
I
it
didn't lose.
because I heart the Midwest, and I'm not about to be a dirty dom. All right, I'm gonna be nice.
Come
And
on,
I'm gonna
Cleveland,
leave
you
it
got
alone.
plenty. You got so
Dirty
much.
That's why I'm not going there.
Okay,
I'm not going
so
there.
much ammo.
Dirty
Because
Dom,
I
the
heart-
luckiest man in professional wrestling,
Yeah.
currently being portrayed as being torn between Liv Morgan and
Yeah.
Rhea Ripley.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Anyways,
That's not awkward at all.
it's very awkward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lives all
They
up in
gotta-
his
they're gonna
business.
be at
It's
a
pretty
fan.
entertaining.
They're gonna be at a fan experience.
Like up in his
August.
business or just up in his
Well,
business?
Yeah,
I-
Rhea was announced to be at that fan experience in August in New York.
Oh, really?
Yes, and Liv.
And Liv?
And I think Judgment Day, or maybe I'm like, that's gonna be. If they use that as an opportunity, like if she's at least,
That's your if she's healthy, that's your SummerSlam match.
I'm just, oh my gosh, yes, yeah. And you know what? I honestly feel like, I know that we're trying to wrap things up, but that in particular, I was just thinking about this today or yesterday, that I truly feel like it's going to be Rhea flipping her top when she comes back to the Judgment Day. That is what schisms the Judgment Day apart.
Oh, okay.
Because because Finn, even though he's attempted to, has not done due diligence to keep Dom out of trouble with Liv.
Correct.
And JD McDonough, sorry buddy, you're just going to be the speed bump on the way through.
Yeah, you are.
And Damian Priest is the champ, and he's going to be like, well, I mean, Dom's his own guy. Like, I tried to warn him, but and I really feel like that is going to be.
Just so you're aware, out of the ring, Rhea Ripley, Buddy Murphy, Buddy Matthews, very happily engaged, wonderful couple.
Yeah.
Dominic Mysterio just recently
He
got
just got
married to
married.
his high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan is single, but her and Rhea are like really cool friends.
Yeah.
On screen, though, Liv Morgan is all about Dominic Mysterio right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
like,
it's-
here's my hotel key, all about, and
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Was it SmackDown that she was on where she came out with his jacket, two different
Raw.
jacket, Raw?
Well,
That's right.
it was the vest,
Came-
and
yeah,
she's
it
like, "You
came
can
out
take
with
it,
two-
you can have it if you'll take it off."
Yeah.
And he unzipped it halfway, and was it Damien like, "Dom, like, geez,
Yeah.
Daddy Damien's
Yeah.
here." Because that's what the reaction is going to be. The reaction is not going to be Rhea jealous, like
No.
from a relationship wise. No, it's mommy protecting her son, and she going to rip your extensions out, Ms. Liv.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
After she beats the tar out of Dom for stepping out.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's weird, but
Good stuff.
It's fascinating because Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan is just it is a storyline that is over a year in the making because Liv got hurt and they weren't able to pay that off.
Yeah.
Now they're going to.
Liv got hurt. If I'm correct, Liv got hurt in a match with Rhea.
Yes.
Yeah, and obviously it was unintentional,
Right.
but they used that to fuel it. And then when Liv came back and was going on her Liv Morgan, or still technically
The Liv Morgan
Revenge Tour, she was cutting a promo where she attacked Rhea in the background, and Rhea slammed against the wall. And when she did, she separated her shoulder. So I feel like shoulder for shoulder, injury for injury, neither one intentional, but real life is just going to fuel the crap out of that story.
So the story's biblical.
Right.
Eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye, shoulder for a shoulder, boyfriend for a
Is
boyfriend.
that how the phrase goes? No?
No,
I don't think
that is not the verse, sir. But I appreciate
We'll have to do
your.
some research on that.
I mean, you get a solid.
We're still
effort.
a-religious. It was more
You get a
as a
star
joke.
for solid effort there. I'll give you that. But I'm not.
I
Sure.
got a star.
You got a star for effort. You know, E for effort.
Again,
There
this
you go.
is me playing with video effects. I got a star of wing.
You have got way too much
All
time
right.
on your hands. Okay,
What are you
anywho,
talking about? You're editing it.
I am not editing
Oh,
it.
sorry.
I haven't been allowed to
I'm
edit it,
not
sir,
editing.
because you've been too busy getting to play with all of the little bips and bobs and buttons and whatever else there are in there. Cut it, trim it. Is the color right? Not that I've been around. for
Sure,
this,
I
but-
did a ton of this for our
You a barber
improv.
now?
Yes.
Well,
Got it, trimmed,
Yes.
is the color right?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you take up a new vocation, Josh? You want to tell us?
I mean, I know how much we pay our stylist, and it's good. It can be good money.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's
All
gonna
right.
color all of our hair
Noted.
inside this video. I'm probably got green hair right
Noted.
now. So
I'm wearing a hat, so you can't tell what it is.
this is true. See, it's probably like.
No, he's actually wearing a hat.
I'm
No, I know,
actually
but you could put
wearing
like a Fantasia hat on his head. Or
What is
something like
happening?
that. I don't. We,
Did
it
you
is-
We've
write
lost
down-
control.
We have-
Oh, dude,
I have a 3 count.
we have
Yeah.
spun out of control, and it
I'm
has
ready.
digressed into.
I'm the one in
garbage.
trouble. They're talking about being a barber. Anyhow, again, thank you so much for joining us with the Stable Podcast. If you are not familiar with our format, obviously we love to discuss the ins and outs of
Banter.
the
Lots
storytelling
of
of pro wrestling. That's right. We have lots of banter, lots of fun. Sometimes it's a little tenuous. Today, not so much.
Not too bad.
Not
Not
too
too
bad.
bad. We did all
That's it. I
right.
think we did all right today,
That's it.
actually.
But
Maybe it's the new environment. Maybe it's the new setup.
That's
It's just
right.
like,
I like it. I know it's not the multicam thing, but it's we get to talk
It
and I
is what
get
it
a
is.
TV.
yeah,
And I get to sit up a little bit higher than both of y'all.
Right.
So, you know.
right,
it's-
which is fine.
It's good.
That's
Soapbox.
So, that being said, we do like to cap off our episode with what we like to call the 3 count. So I'm just going to give it to you after each one of these. We're just going to yell out the next number, right? All right. So, that being said, here we go. You guys ready?
Sure.
Sure.
The Adams Achilles heel is the Adams Achilles heel.
One.
You know, well, or a little.
No, yeah, it's
little
in the
north of
leg.
that.
It's all about
A
the
little
ankle
north of
region.
it, but you know, you got it.
They
You
don't
got it.
teach anatomy. It's okay.
That's right.
Just go with it.
That's right. Okay, here we go. With this many open doors, I wonder what the AC bill is. 2. And when in doubt, Joshy knows it all.
Good.
Yeah. 3. Thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 28 of The Stable. We love you all, and we'll check you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Deuces. One, 2.
3, that's it. It's the tap out. Wait, what?
Wait, what? No.
no
that's not
No,
the-
it's this one. It's the one.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We're not quite done yet.
He's hulking up. He's hulking up.